What's up, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy D from DNC Digital, back with another Instagram Live. Next stop, as we always say, on the road to hell hath no fury. Course Tiger, 8704. What's going on? How you doing? Hope all is well. So today we're gonna be talking to Killa Kate. And we're just waiting for her now. So I've been talking to Diane. How you doing? 1956. What's going on? So I've been talking to many of the women who have been booked, and all the women involved with Hell Hath No Fury. What's going on, Kate? There you are. I can be called Ref Chris. All right, Ref Chris. Nice to meet you, man. And my lady's in here, Sasha. Hey. And my baby Estelle is also watching over there. Oh, nice dance. What's going on? The submission savvy strategist.
Hello. Not much.
Killa Kate, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's awesome. What you been doing today?
Just working. Nothing fun.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it is.
So, you are booked for Hell Hath No Fury. You're teaming with Promise Braxton. And the interesting thing is about Promise Braxton is that you guys had a match a while ago, and what she called a friendly fight. And now it's interesting to see what type of dynamic you guys will have as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because we wrestled for the first time ever back in February of this year before all this craziness happened. And
Right.
it was a very back and forth battle where basically blow for blow, she's a very hard hitter, got a lot of suplexes that are pretty crazy and stuff like that. And I got to really feel, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting come September 18th. I think our styles really mesh well together, so I think we'll be a great team.
You're going to be going up against Bert Vixen and Jenna Lynn. Any type of preparation you got going on for them? Or is this just like any other day that you're going to go in and just do what you do?
Well, for Jenna, I've been watching a little bit of the Karate Kid, in preparation. She's got the little karate techniques. I think I can handle that. And for Vert Vixen, yeah, I picked up my PlayStation controller and played a little bit. I think I can handle her too.
Okay. Moving on, but kind of staying in the same subject. Jenna Lynn definitely has a martial arts background. And you posted on Instagram that you, as a young lady, also participated in martial arts. What was that experience like, and do you still carry some of those techniques into your wrestling career?
Yeah, so I did karate when I was younger, but not to the extent that Jenna did. She's a black belt in karate. Never got that far, I will say. But then I did BJJ and MMA in high school, now through college. And so I think those styles have really blended into my wrestling style as well. Definitely more, you said, like, ground-based, submission-based, and stuff like that. So they're going to throw those kicks, but I'm going to keep them down.
Nice. And what do you think you can credit to all the MMA stuff going into wrestling? I know Undertaker's a big fan of MMA, and you have a lot of MMA stars that crossed over into wrestling, and a lot of wrestlers who have crossed over into MMA. Do you feel like the worlds are similar? Or do you feel like they're totally different and there's separate challenges?
I would say that they're similar and different in that I feel like their training can be very similar in a lot of ways, basically training every day and a lot of the styles. I would say like a lot of the pain threshold too as well. I remember like my first day of MMA, I came back and like my whole body was just like in the worst pain ever. And the same thing happened with wrestling. The first day after wrestling was like my whole body was like muscles you never even knew existed. You're like,
Right.
why is this hurt? Like, so I think there's a lot of similarities in the training and preparations and stuff for that. And obviously the differences I feel come in the entertainment aspect of wrestling.
So let's go back to that. What was your first days of training like? Tell me about that first bump and how the back of your head felt.
Oh yeah, like the first bump, it felt not great. I would say it wasn't the worst thing ever because I obviously with the wrestling like, MMA background, had a history of being like taken down and stuff to the mat. But obviously the wrestling ring is a completely different feeling. But there wasn't that fear of falling that I feel like a lot of people naturally have. Your body naturally doesn't want to fall,
Right, of course.
But yeah, so it just hurt
Um,
a lot worse.
when it came to being the submission savvy strategist, did you already know that you wanted to do that in your wrestling career at the beginning, or is that something that you decided maybe I should bring that world into here?
I did not know that that's the kind of direction that I wanted to go into. Actually, the reason that I got into MMA and BJJ was because I was too young for the training in the area at the time to be a professional wrestler. So I thought the next best thing would be let me try to get some skills that would also move into that world. So that's how I got into BJJ MMA. So naturally, when I started wrestling, those, like you said, skills and stuff came into naturally in the ring as well, as to where my footwork moved more that way, and I got better at the submission aspects of wrestling. So I think it was just something where it was a part of my personality at that point. So it's like you can't deny it. I just went that direction.
When you say that you started MMA because it was the alternative to professional wrestling, when you say you were too young to
Yeah.
train for pro wrestling, did you surprisingly find yourself in love with MMA more than you thought you would? Because it sounds like you were like, I'm gonna do this until I get to that age, and then
Mhm.
did you end up staying there? Like, wow, this is actually kind of cool, more so than I thought.
Definitely. I feel like not maybe in high school, but definitely in college, I fell out of love with wrestling and aspect and more focused on school work and MMA and stuff like that. So definitely wasn't my number one thing was wrestling. It was, MMA, UFC. That's like kind of like when Ronda Rousey was definitely making her strides and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, stuff, it's happening in the world of women's MMA and stuff like that on a bigger stage as we were transitioning to where women were allowed in the USC now. It wasn't just like, Bellator and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I kind of did fall out of love with it, but like you said, it comes full circle. A lot more people are transitioning from MMA or pro wrestling to MMA, and so it's just one big fighting world kind of to me right now.
Everybody always wants to ask what made you fall in love with wrestling, but you have now a similar, or excuse me, a different kind of story where you fell out of love for wrestling. So you see a lot of people in MMA joining the wrestling world. That still won't kind of tell somebody, okay, I'm going to do that too. So who was it? What match did you see, or what wrestler did you see that you decided, okay, maybe I'm going to take that route and join the wrestling world and fall back in love with wrestling?
Fall back in love with wrestling. That's a hard one, I would say. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I forget really what it was that made me fall back in love with wrestling, but it was more so like I felt like what I was doing kind of like day to day, I went to college, I got a job. It was not what I really wanted to do at the end of the day. So I went back and like started soul searching and being like, okay, what did I really want to do when I was younger? And the thing that I kept coming back to was wrestling.
Mm.
So I don't know if it's exactly someone who brought me back to wrestling, but more so just rekindling that love of it and trying to and being like, well, okay, now I could go train if I wanted to, let me at least try it out and see, what could happen. And I remember distinctly like when I first found like my training school, I was looking online at like places locally and stuff like that. And the person that I saw like on one of their posters was Keith Lee. And I originally saw Keith Lee first back when I was younger on the independent scene in Dallas and stuff like that. And so I was like,
Okay.
man, like he was really good. And if he's here, like, wrestling shows, like that's where I need to go get trained. So I think definitely getting to see some of the more local stars in the area now like rise in the ranks and stuff like that, it kind
Yeah.
of rekindled that love of like, oh wow, they made it, it's possible for, more people to make it from the area and stuff like that.
So now when you talk about when you talk about going to college and getting a real job and all that stuff, Jim Ross said it. He always says it. He always tells it. He's gone on, record to tell every rookie that he ever meets, make sure you get a an education first, and then pursue this dream. So, how important is it to you, speaking from your experience, to make sure that you get a college degree before you continue this dream of yours? think I lost you for a second. Oh, she froze up. We were talking to Killa Kate about her wrestling career and then how she decided to do MMA because she was too young to train for wrestling, for pro wrestling. Ended up falling in love with MMA, ended up falling out of love with pro wrestling. And now she is where she is, and now she's booked for Hell Hath No Fury next month with Mission Pro Wrestling. I'm going to try to get her back in here. Who's in here? Hadouken? 88, what's going on? Julio Vasquez, hey, what's up, bud? Been a long time. There you go. Now we're back. Waiting on Killa Kate. Hey, what's up?
Hey, sorry, I think my internet just went for a second.
Nah, no worries, no worries. I was talking about how Jim Ross has told every rookie to make sure you get an education first before you continue on this dream. How important is it for you, speaking from your experience, that you decided to make sure you got your degree? And how important is that for aspiring professional wrestlers to make sure they get their degree before they continue on to that aspiration that they have?
I think it's important, at least for me it was, because it definitely helps me gain some more skills in different aspects of life and stuff like that. I have a business background, business degree. So it allowed me to, when I started wrestling, be able to really take on that role of, you're an independent contractor on the wrestling scene. You're basically your own business in a way. So
Right.
having some of those skills and stuff like that have helped me adapt to that aspect of the industry. And for everybody else, I think it's just something that it's always good to have, it's always good to learn different skills and stuff like that. I know, wrestling is your love, it's your passion, but, always have other things that you can, I don't want to say fall back on because it's not good to,
To anticipate,
anticipate failure. You don't want to do that, but it's always good to have things that are in your back pocket, like say you're out on injury for a while or something like that, that you can always switch to in the meantime, or different skills and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a full-time job. It can be, your side hustles. Maybe you're a gear maker, maybe you do things inside the wrestling industry that are also making money, but always just have a plan,
And do you find yourself helping people with that, like the business aspect? How you are an independent contractor and you're selling your own brand, you're selling yourself and your shirts and stuff, and how you need to, kind of perceive yourself on social media and stuff. You are selling a product. So, with your business background, do you find yourself helping other independent wrestlers?
I definitely find myself helping them if they ask, or if, I say, hey, I have some advice maybe, but you don't always want to come off as the person that you're like, hey, you should do this, because nobody likes that person, or they're like, stop telling me what to do.
You don't be one of those theater kids who just...
Yeah. You don't want to come off as like the know-it-all. Like, I'll give advice always if people ask, or if I feel like it's, really important for the moment, but I don't want to come off as like the bossy one.
Definitely. Hell yeah, Killa Kate. I see them shoulders poking.
Oh yeah, trying to get it back a little bit.
Marty,
I was working out.
Thanks for coming in.
I was working out really good before all the COVID stuff happened, and I feel like my motivation definitely dipped for a while. But now I'm trying to get all that back. So
yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, me personally, first 2 weeks I was losing my mind. I felt like, the hell am I going to do here at the house? I need to be working. I need to be, doing something. And I found one day I was just emotionally broken down. And so talk about your experience with the quarantine, because this is something that it's going to stay in the history books because it stopped the entire world. And that's the crazy part about it. And most people, mental health is such an open conversation now that it's okay to talk about how vulnerable you are and how much things have affected you. So what was your experience in the beginning with the quarantine, and how did you find yourself to become motivated again, to get back in shape, to become more active, and to get out there?
I would say definitely at the beginning, it was really hard, in Texas and stuff here. When we went to lockdown, it was like, oh, this is real now. Like it's really setting in. And especially when like the training centers and stuff like that kind of started closing down, you're like, okay, well, what do we do now? Like when wrestling is a lot of your life, you're like, okay, what do I do at the house? And then you start to realize I really don't like my house. Like I'm never here, And then you're like, oh, yeah. But I would say what definitely really helps me through it was the dojo that I go to up in Denton with Ember Moon, Matthew Palmer, and Knight Davis had these promo classes every week where we would have to like submit a promo and stuff like that and get it critiqued. And those really helps me get through not just focusing on that aspect of wrestling, but also just getting to see everybody's faces like in a Zoom call and getting to
Right.
talk and not feel like you were alone and stuff like that. So it wasn't always just wrestling we were talking about. It was also like, you guys okay and stuff like that. So that definitely was like the bright spot of like my week for like those first couple months, where you didn't feel like you were alone and stuff like that. And I think what definitely got me motivated is when more shows were starting to happen in the summertime and stuff like that. I was like, okay, wrestling is slowly starting to come back. And if I want to be a part of that and stuff like that, I'm going to have to motivate myself to be a part of that. I'm not saying that everybody should rush out there and start being a part of these shows. You still need to be careful and the precautions take place, just like they're doing at Mission Pro and stuff like that. And
Right.
if you don't feel comfortable coming to the shows or being a part of them as a wrestler, I completely understand that as well. I made it like a priority, like before I started going back to training and stuff like that, to stay with my parents for a long while and just see them, because I knew like once I started training, once I started to go to shows, it probably wouldn't be the best option to go see my older parents
Hmm.
while being in contact with people. So I completely understand if people's living situations and stuff like that aren't able to do that and stuff like that.
For the record, or everybody watching who does not know, Mission Pro Wrestling, you do have to be tested before you go. Masks are required. Social distancing will be enforced. And if, like Kate said, if you're not comfortable watching live, it will be streamed on the Title Network.
Hmm.
So I want to stay on that topic when you said you stayed with your parents. You have a really sweet post about your mom, how
Hmm.
she's been a big supporting character in your career, driving a long way just to see you play security.
Yeah.
Those fun days of security when you're a trainee and all you can do is just, do security. So talk
Yeah.
about how important your mom has been in your career.
Yeah, she's been awesome. Like, I remember when I wanted to start going to like the local after commercial. Oh no, I'm muddling again.
You're good. You're good.
Uh, oh no, you're here. Okay. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, oh, I started spinning.
Maybe
Um,
I don't look like I'm frozen.
you're good. I remember like
Okay.
I was watching SmackDown one night, and then like after they had like a TV spot on the news where they're like talking about the local wrestling in the area, and I was just like, Mom, like, what is this? Like, can we go? And she's like, I don't know. And it was definitely like the indie like crowd where it was like people were drinking and they were cursing and stuff like that. And I was like the 14-year-old in the audience, like, wide-eyed, like I'm just here for the wrestling. But she was always cool with it. Like initially, I could tell, totally wasn't her thing. She didn't grow up with wrestling. I didn't grow up with wrestling either. But eventually I feel like over time she became a fan in a way where she was driving me all across DFW to go see these shows and stuff like that, and it just carried on throughout like the rest of my career. Like I can always say about my parents, like even though I don't know if they're fans of wrestling, they've always respected it and respected my love of it and have done everything in their power to try to help me and on that journey and stuff like that. So I really appreciate them.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's probably the most important fans that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
And what kind of response did the rest of the boys like? When it came to her, like, is she tough on them too, or is she big supportive of them? Is she like the promotion mom?
No, not necessarily. She's more of like a background character who likes to keep to herself and just watch the show and stuff like that. But no, she honestly doesn't know a ton of my wrestling friends, but she more so knows like the characters when she sees them.
Ah, nice. Oh, so she's playing it straight. All kayfabe. All kayfabe.
Yeah, yeah. She's
Good
just
job,
like,
mom.
oh, she likes to watch the show and enjoy it. But now, especially since I'm like older, she's like, she lets me to my own devices of like, that's your thing, I'll just come and support you.
Referee Chris, I think that's what he told me to call him. Tell me
Mhm.
that that's a Bucky's hat. Is that a
Of
Bucky's hat?
course it is. Yep. It's a
Hey,
Bucky's
so
hat.
speaking of Bucky's, a lot of people, I have people in like Jersey and New York watching. So Bucky's is a huge like it's like a Walmart for the road, you
Basically.
know.
Yeah,
So
basically.
when it comes to the road, hey Coven, what's going on, Coven? Hope you're doing well. Coven, by the way, my deepest condolences to the loss that your family just had. Love you, buddy. But when it comes to the road, what's been one of your favorite meals?
Oh, my favorite meals. Okay. I'm gonna say Taco Palenque down in Laredo, Texas. That's my
That's
favorite place.
yeah, that's what I was. That's on my notes too. I want you to talk about your love for Taco Palenque.
So the first time we went there, right? Thunder Rosa is the one who actually like introduced like our little group to it. She was like, "We're gonna go to Taco Palenque down here." We were at a show in Laredo, and she's like, they're open late." So we're like, "Let's go." It's really hard to find places that are open late that
Mhm.
when you're on the road and stuff like that aren't the worst ever. So we get there, and it's like, it was just I don't know, the free chips is what got me. Like, what kind of place gives you free chips?
The free
That's
chip.
not. Yeah, that's not like a sit down restaurant. They're kind of like a fast food in a way,
Yeah.
tangential like Taco Cabana in a way. But it was like they had free chips. I'm like all about that. So
So what is it that you order in Taco Palenque?
of course I order the steak fajitas. That's my order.
I like to get the casero tacos. Those,
Oh,
those with the beans and the rice and the meat.
oh yes.
Amazing. That's good stuff. That is late night stuff. That's like Whataburger for Hispanic people. That's what that is.
Yeah, okay. I see it. Yeah.
You see it?
That's like the hot spot. Yep.
So I want you to tell me when we're now that we're on the topic of tacos. I need you to tell me, do you choose Taco Palenque or a Thunder Rosa taco?
That Thunder Rosa taco was really good. Like, I remember I went by myself to that restaurant when I was down there. I was just like, gotta find somewhere to eat. Let me go try the Thunder Rosa taco.
Right.
Ah, I would say I preferred the Thunder Rosa taco as like a food item, but the experience of Taco Palenque, it's more encompassing. But if they
We
had
have
that
to.
taco there,
Yeah. Oh no, if they had that taco, then you're set. We need to
yeah.
tag Taco Palenque to get you some free shirts and some free meals and shit. Because you have a cool shirt, right? You have a cool shirt based on the Taco Palenque logo.
hmm
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like arm bar, knee bar, taco
And
bar.
Taco Bar, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Man, you made me skip a bunch of my notes because we already talked about Taco Palenque. Um,
It's okay.
so now let's move on to Mission Pro Wrestling. I was telling your tag team partner, Promise Braxton, that
hmm
and this is a cool part about it. It's the closer we get to it, I feel like the more important it's becoming, and the more important I realize it is.
hmm
With everything happening, with all these idiots in the locker room that did these uh, idiotic things with female wrestlers, and a couple of years ago, like I felt like we should have been with this whole women's evolution thing a long time ago. But everything happens for a reason. I think women have been wrestling in the right eras, with the exception of a few. But so you talk about your mainstream promotions, and they have their women's champion and their challenger. When it comes to WWE, they have three women's champions and the tag team champions. So the spotlight is on the women. They get their own time, they get storylines and everything. But Mission Pro Wrestling is now putting the spotlight across the board. Everybody on the roster is a woman. Everybody behind the scenes is a woman. How important do you feel Mission Pro Wrestling will be for the future of females in wrestling?
I think it's very important, especially in the Texas area. Um, like I was saying, like 10 years ago when I was watching the independent shows locally, you were lucky if you got one women's match. And that was considered like the bathroom match where everybody would get up and go to the concession stand and stuff like that. And I remember sitting there, I was like, this is the most important match to me. Like, this is the match that I want to see. But now, with Mission Pro, the whole card is basically women's matches. And not only that, behind the scenes, women are getting the opportunity to be on commentary, to be photographers, to be agents roles and stuff like that. So I think it's more important than people realize just on a surface level. It's been a long time coming, and I'm hoping it will create more opportunities in the future, not just in Texas, but across, the US and across the world for women.
Talk about Thunder Rosa, who's like, I feel like she's on the front of the boat, just yelling at everybody that we're
Hmm.
coming and we're gonna knock shit down. Um,
Hmm.
Talk about how you feel about her crusade in getting this out more, and what kind of support system has she been for you?
Thunder Rosa is awesome. I remember like when some of us up here in the Dallas area like first started training as girls, we would go down to like the Austin area for the shows that her and Brian's were running when they're running Sabotage and stuff like that. And they would have seminars before each show and stuff like that. And we were always trying to be a part of that. And she was always very helpful, having us be a part of the show, be a part of security for events and stuff like that, getting to learn not only at like the seminars, but also being a part of the production of the show and then eventually being a part of the show. So she's been a big supporter of women's talent in the area of Texas for a long time now. And I'm glad that she's getting to spearhead this whole event and this movement because I think she's the right person to do it.
Is there something to be said about wrestlers in Texas? Because every time I look up somebody from Texas that your friends' friends know, or even you know personally, are ending up on AEW Dark. Some are getting signed. Some are going to NXT. Some are just getting, MLW, NWA. Is there something to be said about Texas wrestlers and maybe the tenacity that they have and the persistence that one can have when they're from Texas?
I would say, yeah, I would say probably a lot of it comes from the fact that, Texas is such a humongous state. We often forget about it. We travel into shows, we're like, 8 hours, no problem. But for a lot of people up north or other areas, they're like, 8 hours, like that's like several states.
Um,
So, like,
yeah, like I'm from New
yeah,
Jersey, and when they say that, like Austin is like 6 hours away from where I live, 6 hours away from where I grew up in Jersey, you'd end up in Boston or something. Like
yeah.
and it's so congested. So I'm sorry, go on with your point.
So just to that point of like, I feel like Texas wrestlers always have that drive of like going where they need to go, and also like there's a variety of styles when you think about it, from like South Texas to North Texas to East Texas to West Texas. There's just so much talent, and when you have so much talent in this area, it's bound to start reaching up on the higher levels and stuff like that. Especially now where I feel like a lot of the issues prior came from visibility. A lot of the more like Northeast promotions and stuff like that, or even West Coast promotions had the magazines, they had the TV time and stuff like that. But now with the internet, it's more of an equalizer where if you can get your content out there to be seen, it's easier to get up, to the higher promotions like AEW, WWE, and NWA and stuff like that. So I think Texas is really getting to that point now where it's more visible to the worldwide audience.
Yeah. How do you feel about AEW signing somebody for like 2 or 3 matches, and then you kind of never see them again? They're doing that with the women's championship challenges, and they're doing
Mm-hmm.
that with Cody Rhodes' TNT championship challenges. Do you feel like that kind of is detrimental when it comes to building stars, or is it more of a showcase of what wrestling can be? What do you think their main idea is when they're signing people for a match or two?
I feel like it's good because at the end of the day, at least from the wrestler's perspective, you get an opportunity to present yourself to the world and to show, here's who I am, here's the skills I possess, and see how they react to it, whether it's positively or negatively. And then you can take that feedback and you can change things up and stuff like that, or keep improving in different aspects. Or if it really takes off, if you become undeniable in a sense, they have no reason not to sign you. Or another company will look at that and be like, oh, look what was done over here. That person could be a big asset to our company. So I think it's good in the aspect of it shining a light on people who may have not gotten that spotlight before. And from AEW's perspective, it can build a star if they see something, or they're like, oh, we do want to sign them eventually down the road. They can use that, as an opportunity to build them. But it just depends.
I feel like I feel like maybe it's just one step higher than a dark match. Like everybody
Yeah.
gets a dark match, and they let's see how you do, and now they're just giving them a bigger platform. So let's stay on the topic of mainstream wrestling. I feel like every time you flip up Facebook or Twitter, everybody's going to be complaining about any new concept that these promotions are doing. Me, I've learned that you're going to do what you can do. And I know that there's something to be said about the writing and the booking, or maybe they're not using one guy enough. And I feel that way sometimes about some wrestlers. But when it comes to these new concepts, everybody's complaining. And I'm like, what are you gonna do, man? You're still gonna be there on Monday. You're still gonna be there on Wednesday. Just watch the shit and just take it for what it's worth. Do you feel like these mainstream promotions, AEW, WWE, are doing the best they can with what they got as far as the COVID restrictions?
I feel like they are. I feel like people are too hard, and not just wrestling, like in every aspect of media, where a lot of the conversations I feel now are very negative and just like, oh, I hated this, or I didn't like this. You don't hear people saying, oh, I love this episode, or I love this movie. It's always, this didn't live up to my expectations. And I feel like that negativity is just pointless. Like, we need to enjoy things more for what they are, and find the positives in them instead of just bashing it constantly. Because I think new ideas, they may not always be, the best, or but without those new ideas getting thrown at the wall and saying, hey, will this work? You'll never get anything new tried. You always have to be trying new stuff. Otherwise, you're going to just have the same boring content. I don't want to watch that. I'd rather see new ideas, whether they fail or they do succeed.
With that being said, how did you feel about Firefly Funhouse and the Swamp Fight and the Stadium Stampede and the one where the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders had it? How did you feel about all those quote unquote matches, the Boneyard matches?
Yeah. I was thoroughly entertained, like from all of them. Like, I was entertained. Are they the kind of style of wrestling that I personally love? More of the mat-based, submission-based stuff? No. But I definitely think like they have their place in the wrestling world, and as long as it's entertaining, I think people will want to see that. Like, at the end of the day, it's sports entertainment for a reason. Because if I wanted just to see an athletic contest, I would watch amateur wrestling. But that's not what I want to just see. I want to see that and entertainment. So that's why I watch professional wrestling. It's several different aspects. Like, it's the ice cream flavor analogy that you always hear. It's like, wrestling has several different flavors of ice cream. Which one do you like? It's so awesome now that there's so many choices for you.
Marty Hernandez, Edge versus Randy Orton was awesome.
Oh yeah, love Randy Orton.
That was a crazy one. Like, the ending just made me feel like when you were training and everybody just hit each other with their favorite wrestling moves. Hey, let me do a rock bottom to you. Take a pedigree. So like for me, when it came to the Firefly Funhouse, I knew it wasn't going to be a match, and I knew that Bray Wyatt, shoot wise, is crazy in a good way. Like, he's an insane genius. So after I was done with that, I was like, what the hell? And I just watched, but like in a good way. And I know, like, everybody I spoke to when it came to the Street Profits and Viking Raiders, I forgot when they had that match thing where they ended up in the dumpster or something, but it was like they were competing in like these little games, but it was hilarious to me. It was funny. The swamp match with Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman was like a horror movie scene to me, and I took it just like that. The Stadium Stampede was funny as hell. I loved Stadium Stampede. It was just, and that's the thing, it's entertainment. Like, people forget that they're also, they're trying to be Disney. They want to do like so many different things. Speaking to the fans that Raw Underground, that's a good question. How about Raw Underground? Coming from your world, how do you feel about that?
I think it's awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously, it reminds you a lot of like on the indies, like the Bloodsport shows that they had and stuff like that. I think it's cool. It's giving people an opportunity to showcase another style of wrestling, but in a different way. It's very cool, Fight Club style, stylized, and I think it's unique and different.
Who was Shayna Baszler's girl that got a match last night? Sharina, is that her name?
Oh yeah, like
Marina Schaefer or something like that.
Yeah,
she was also an MMA girl, but it is giving these people a platform. Dolph Ziggler was there last night with the Viking Raiders, and it's just crazy shit. And I mean, what are you gonna do? Speaking about the fans that decide to complain about everything and they feel like they're Dave Meltzer or somebody, do you feel that we know the magician's tricks way too much now? Because, like, to set an analogy for it, when I go to see a magician, maybe I know the way he did it, but I'm not trying to say, hey, look, this is how he did it. I'm not
Mhm.
turning into the person like, oh, this is how they did that. That's boring. I'm trying to sit back and let the guy do his thing. Do you feel like with all these wrestling forums and wrestling websites and the fact that we feel like we know the business, do you feel like that is a bad thing when it comes to when wrestling promotions are trying to put out quality stuff?
I would say overall, yes, it's a bad thing, but it's almost like Pandora's box of like now you've opened it, you can't put it back. It's already a thing. You can't undo it. So I think what people need to start, or wrestlers need to start to realize, is that it's now our job to basically still be able to trick you. Like those magicians, like the ones who do the craziest stunts, and you're just like, I can't figure out how the hell they do that, even though you know it's a trick, but you can't figure it out at all. It's on us to still be able to trick and still be able to make you believe, even though you know. And that's on
No,
us, though.
definitely.
Now.
That's a great way to put it. I never heard it put that way. It kind of provides a challenge for you, an added layer
Hmm.
of challenge. Do you feel that challenge when you're in the match, or is it more let's just make this a good match?
I definitely do. I definitely feel it's a challenge. Like obviously, if things weren't the way they were, or people didn't know the secrets and stuff like that, it would be easier. So I feel like the challenge is okay. You have to make them believe. You have to walk out that curtain where they just forget about everything they know about wrestling, and they're just mesmerized by it. So that's definitely always in the back of my mind when I'm going out there. It's like, how can I be entertaining to where they just forget about all of that and also all their life's worries and are just so focused and having fun. So
Um, so now you are the submission savvy strategist. I love that. I need to get one. I need to get one of your shirts too, the Taco Palenque one.
oh
Um,
yeah, I'll give you one.
so I appreciate that. I'll be there at the
Yeah,
show. I'm just gonna slide it off your table like it's cool.
I
I
got
get
you.
you. I got you. I got you. I'll buy you a taco. How about that?
Oh, okay.
Not bad. When it comes to your wrestling style, do you see yourself kind of mirroring anybody in professional wrestling back then, or is it somebody in MMA that you decided to emulate when it comes to your wrestling style?
Hmm. I would say like style wise, I've definitely been influenced by like Low Key is one of my favorites.
You went to one of
Uh,
his seminars, right?
Yeah, he was my very first seminar actually, which is very intimidating. Like when one of your favorite wrestlers, you're like, okay, this is my first seminar. I don't know what to expect. Okay, I guess we're gonna do 300 squats. Let's go.
Great.
But no, he was awesome. It was really cool to get to learn some more about that style of like very the realistic style that he does and stuff like that. Mercedes Martinez has a very cool style where I think it's similar in a way of like bringing that reality to the ring. Trying to think who else also. I watched a lot of like Steve Blackman also
Oh, I
from like
love
old
Steve
back.
Blackman. Oh
Yeah,
my God, love that guy.
I think
I
he's
just
super
I just
underrated.
finished interviewing last week Al Snow, and
Oh, okay.
I asked him. I was like, "Look, I know backstage skits can be re-recorded, but was there
Hmm.
ever any time in the ring that you tried to make him break character?" He goes, "Dude, I tried so many times, and he just straight faced. No, but I feel like he's like one of those hidden heroes of the Attitude Era. Like you ask any diehard fan, they're like, "Oh, dude, Steve Blackman," but not commercially successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody else though? Any Kurt Angles or Benoit's,
D-
Jericho's?
Definitely Kurt Angle, definitely Benoit and Jericho. I wouldn't say they're just like the people who like immediately stand out to me. I was like definitely of like the TNA, Kurt Angle from TNA, like Ring of Honor, like Samoa Joe, people like that, Bryan Danielson and stuff like that. That was my stuff, like where I felt like I really liked that hard hitting style that they had. And from the MMA world, I would say Chris Cyborg totally like never gets
Oh
the credit she deserves.
yes.
One of the best. Um, but yeah, some of my
Um.
faves.
So so tell me, how excited are you for Mission Pro Wrestling next month? Are you do you have your gear ready? Are you like I'm gonna
Oh,
take this shirt and
super
that
pumped.
shirt?
Yes,
Is
this
there
is
a
what I've
is
been
there a
waiting
good
for.
luck is there a good luck Taco Palenque meal you have before? What's your ritual like? What do you do to get ready? Get in the mind of Killa Kate.
To get in the mind, Usually I put my gear on like a couple hours before the show. Like I don't wait till last minute, so I try to put everything on so I can get in that mentality. I drink a little bit of my energy drink. I always have to have a little bit of energy drink before I go out there. And then just I don't know, just focus on myself for a while, think about things and stuff like that. That's just how I get in the mindset. I try not to eat before I wrestle. I try to eat after. You got to
Ah,
save that for the victory meal.
the victory meal. Already calling the victory. Good job.
Yeah. Oh, of
Um,
course.
what do you want people to come away with when they walk out of the doors in Mission Pro Wrestling? What do you want to show them about Mission Pro?
About Mission Pro, well, the immediate reaction is I want them to be like, when is the next one?
Nice.
I want them to be like, when are we doing this again? And then I also want them to come away with hopefully like a newfound respect for not just, like I said, not just the wrestlers, but also more of the backstage roles and stuff like that, and how important those are also to making the show come together and stuff like that. Because you don't have a show without a referee, you don't have a show without the ring crew, you don't have a show without the promoters and the bookers and stuff like that. Everybody is so important to the show. It's not just the wrestlers.
Um, Steve Blackman was legit referee Chris, and I worked with Al Snow in a tag match in Oklahoma. That's awesome. Al Snow
Oh.
is so damn cool. Hey, my buddy Kane is joined in. Al Snow is insane. He gave me such a lesson because I interviewed him twice. I interviewed him once at a convention, and then I contacted him because I had such a great time to ask him for a second interview. But in that first interview, I spoke about his time when he went heel on Mick Foley because he was jealous of The Rock and stuff. Marty Hernandez, I'll be there paying dues.
Oh, nice.
So he was telling me, like, if you do something bad just because it's bad, it's like, okay. But he's like, you need to show them the why. You need to show them why I did it wrong and why I did the wrong thing. And so I brought up the fact that Jake the Snake Roberts has said in the past that all heels need to feel justified in what they do. They need to be like, I was right to do that. Anybody would have done that. So he looked at me and he's like, you don't know it, but you're a heel in one of your friends' stories. Or somebody in your life, you're a heel. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, Wrestle House Photos, what's going on? He looked at me, he goes, you feel justified in every one of your decisions. And that makes you a heel to somebody. So do you find heel or face more fun?
Definitely heel. I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like it's I'm able to be not I wouldn't say more of my like asshole self, but more of my sarcastic self. Definitely when I'm a heel, I'm always definitely more of the you know kind of person like that. Probably from
Oh
like
no,
my
it's
rapping
okay. I'm the
background.
same way. I hurt feelings with my sarcasm.
Yeah.
Um, but when you're a face and you got these little kids, cheering you on, they come up to you after the show and they ask for an autograph or a picture. Wrestle House Photos, what's going on? Thanks for coming in. Talking to Killa Kate about Mission Pro Wrestling. Hell Hath No Fury, September 18th in Buda, Texas. Um, how do you feel about the platform that you got for little girls, especially this show? I feel like a lot of little girls are going to be walking out saying, those girls kicked butt, and I want to be like one of them, or that one was cool. That one high-fived me, Mom. Um, how important do you feel this platform is for little girls who see you?
I think it's super important. Like I said before, where when I was going to the wrestling show and there wouldn't maybe be a women's match at all, or if there was one, I was so excited. I was like, yes, like I finally get to see the women wrestle. So I think people overlook that so much that we're getting to see yourself in some of your favorite characters and stuff like that. That's so important, and it makes you believe, maybe one day I can do that, or it gives you a role model, something to someone that you're like, wow, they're successful in their wrestling. So maybe it's not like, they want to do wrestling, but maybe they want to do something else. It gives them a good role model and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely underrated how important that is. Anytime like a little girl comes up to me and wants to take a photo, I'm still like, what? Like me? Like, but it's so humbling, and it reminds you like, this is the reason why you're doing this. It's not anything else. It's for like those people.
What are some of the things that parents have told you about their kids, cheering you on and stuff?
Just that like they're had an amazing time and stuff like that. My mom's also a teacher, so
Oh,
Surprisingly, she's had some of her kids come watch me wrestle because she's a kindergarten
wow,
teacher.
really? Mom is
Yeah, and
promoting too. Awesome. She's handing out flyers. Awesome job, Mom.
yeah. Well, when she finds out they're like wrestling fans, she's like, "My daughter's a wrestler." Not in the same aspect, obviously, not in WWE, but like, and so when they come, it's like really cool to get them to see it like up close in person. They're really amazed, and like their parents are always like, "This is so cool! I never knew this was a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "We've had a great time." So it's just cool to see stuff like that happen where you're getting to see, families come out and go to the shows and enjoy something together. That's what made us love wrestling, right? Is like it's either one of our brothers and sisters or someone in
Yeah.
our family or one of our close friends getting to enjoy it together. So that's awesome to see.
I had the opportunity when I was younger to meet Eddie Guerrero, and
Oh, that's
my
awesome.
mom hated wrestling. She's just like, "Why do you watch that? Why do you know?" But she would sit down with me because I loved it. So, oh, making the parents proud, Kate.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
gotta do what you gotta do. So he signed my magazine, and I told him I was like, "Look, I know the deal, but my mom doesn't like wrestling, but she loves you." And that made him smile. And I'm like, when you come
Oh.
out, she's like, oh, Mira, like he's so handsome, he's so charming, and he started laughing. I was like, when you won the championship, I was like, you made us feel, and not in any disrespectful way. I was like, you made us feel like the custodian can be CEO. Like the little guy can just make it to the top, and all that love. That's still an emotional video for me to watch, like when he wins the title. And I was like, you became our champion. You became Hispanic people's champion, the people's champion. And I just want to say thank you for that because my mom cheered so nuts when you won the championship. She doesn't like wrestling, but she cheered. She went out of her mind and he looked at me and he put his bags down and he gave me a hug. And I was
Oh.
like, he goes, thank you, brother. I was like, bro, thank you. And, even looking back at that story, it's a testament to what wrestling can do for families. And even for friends, I feel like whenever you meet somebody who's also a wrestling fan, you're like, oh, we're best friends now. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm going to be texting you during Raw and everything. So, Killa Kate, I got a book. I have a fun book called 3,000 Questions About Me. Okay?
Oh,
And these are
okay.
these are these are these are thinkers. These are chin
Oh.
tappers. So I'm gonna just go through it and ask you. This is where we find out who you are. Okay?
Oh, God.
Who
Okay.
is that? I can't read all of that. I'm
Your
gonna call you
boy.
Rosa.
I think
Oh,
it's
your
your
boy.
boy
Is that what?
something.
Is that how you're supposed to read it? Your boy.
Your
Your boy
boy.
Star Rosa.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
jeez. Do you watch? Are you familiar with BuzzFeed?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
There's a series on YouTube. They have BuzzFeed Unsolved, and they go out to like all these paranormal places
Oh,
where
yeah.
supposedly are haunted. So there's one of them is a scaredy cat. He believes in everything, and the other one is a skeptic. He doesn't believe in ghosts. He always has an answer for everything that happens. So
Hmm.
that guy's hand or that woman's, I'm not sure who it is. Your boy, I'm gonna say it's a guy. So that handle reminded me that skeptic walked into a haunted house and he looks around. And he goes, "Hey, demons, it's your boy."
That would be me. Be like,
Okay.
sup, ghost?
What's up,
Lunch?
ghosts?
Sup, ghost?
All
Casper,
right,
you in
Killer
here?
Kate. Killer Kate. Killer Kate. If you were a bartender, what famous person would you like to serve?
Oh, what famous person would I like to serve? Mm, I don't really know. It's a bad.
You see,
It's
these are
bad.
these are these are crazy questions, right? These are such
Yeah.
simple questions, or but okay. What was the name? This one you have to be able to. Oh my
Okay.
God, how you doing, Demon? Nice. What was the name of the first album you ever bought, and who was it by?
It was probably something dumb like a Kids Bop album. I'm not gonna lie.
You bought the Kids Bop stuff?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was bopping as a kid.
What was one thing you begged your parents for as a kid, and they finally gave it to you?
A dog. I begged for a dog for a long time, like when I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. And then
Uh-huh.
I finally got one when I was 8. I got like a little puppy. It was so
What
cute.
was his name or her name?
His name was Oreo. because he's black and
Oh,
white.
Oreo. What's
Yeah.
up, Oreo? Name something on your to-do list that has never been done.
Go to New York. That's like one of the places that
Really?
I've been wanting to go to. Yeah.
Oh man, my brother still lives out there. I'll tell him to show you around if you ever go.
I'm so down. Like once they're allowing people to go there and not like quarantine for 2 weeks,
Yeah,
I want to
definitely.
go.
Yeah, he'll tell you all the places to eat. That's the best part. Uh, the
Oh, okay,
best part
that's what. Yes,
the
the
best part
food.
about New York is everywhere you go to eat. I remember the last time I went to visit my mom was last year, and I had to go to New York just because every time I visit I have to stop by. And I got a bagel, ham, egg, and cheese. And my favorite part was just opening it and just watching the cheese just shred.
Ugh.
And then
That sounds good.
a good slice of pizza, a hot dog. Go to Yankee Stadium, go to the Garden. Um, if you were a superhero, what would your superhero name be?
Oh, superhero name. I thought it was gonna be superpowers. Okay.
Oh, you can do
Hmm.
superpowers. We can do superpowers. What were your
I'll
superpowers?
do both. I'll
Okay.
do both. Uh, my superpower name would be super name would be Kit Kat. Kit Kat.
Kit
So
Kat?
I'm breaking my enemies in two. And my
Nice.
superpower would be telekinesis. So that way I could move things with my mind, but also you could fly because you can move yourself.
Oh,
So
that's
you really
that's
get two
that's the
powers.
loophole.
Yes.
Nobody has ever done. You're like a lawyer superhero. How about this one? What song makes you dance uncontrollably?
Hmm. I don't know if there's a song, but I've been really into like what is it like almost like techno punk music right now, where it's like that like almost like cyberpunk sounding in a way. I've been really into that, so I'm always like
Oh,
jamming like yeah.
nice. Let me just get one last one. Hmm. Are you neat or messy?
Both.
Both.
I
Okay.
guess yeah, it depends. I have like OCD sometimes, so like a lot of things will be like organized, but then it's also like my room will be messy for like a whole weekend if I'm gone with wrestling. I'll just be like throw in my bag and go to bed and then like wake up, take my stuff, and it's just a mess. And then
But
I
you
have to clean
know
it all
where
up.
everything is. That's the
Yes,
beauty of it. You know where everything is. That's the best part.
yes.
Killer
My
Kate,
bag is organized.
let them know where they can find you on social media besides Instagram.
It's at WrestleKate, also on Twitter as well as Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's under Kate Folan or Killer Kate because it said that's not a real name. So it
Oh,
said Killer Kate's not a real name, so I can't.
okay.
Had to pick a
Not
last
bad.
name.
Um, Killer Kate, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you stopping by and on this fun stop on the way to Hell Hath No Fury, presented by Mission Pro Wrestling. I will be there as a proud sponsor, conducting interviews, selling my T-shirts. Killer Kate is also going to be selling shirts, right? You're going to be having your
Mm-hmm.
table and everything. So make sure you come by and support. If you cannot, if you are uncomfortable or you just cannot due to transportation or whatever the reason may be, it's going to be streamed on the Title Network. So make sure you follow Wrestle Kate, DNC Digital, right up here. This is going to be on YouTube, so also like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, the notification bell, because I guess you don't see my videos unless you hit the bell, which is kind of dumb. But I hope everybody has a good night. For Killer Kate, this is D. You guys have a good one. Peace.